This is going. Wow, perfect.
Yeah, how you doing?
Oh, Suki. No.
How you guys doing? You good?
I'm good, yeah. And we've just got a kitten.
Oh,
So
yeah, I saw that actually.
We have our work cut out at the moment. It's actually settling in very well.
I can imagine.
But she occasionally has the zoomies.
The zoomies, huh?
The zoomies.
So goes a bit crazy every now and again.
Erratic behaviour for no reason.
Must be cute. Must be cute.
She's so cute. Suki. She'll probably make an appearance at some point.
She'll make an appearance now.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. For all
Suki.
you guys that are tuning in, here you get to see Suki now.
Suki. When she does something naughty, she's Suki no.
Suki no?
No.
That wasn't planned at all. But it dawned.
Suki no.
I told her off the other day. I just realised that was a thing.
That's so
Apparently
cute.
It means loved one in Japanese.
Yeah, and even in
Well,
Sanskrit, it's like means happiness.
Is it the
Suki
same?
no.
Oh, it's happiness. Because we
Yeah.
tried to look it up in Sanskrit. We couldn't
Yeah,
find
yeah,
it.
Suki no means like, there's that famous Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Suki no means happiness, like may the world be happy.
May
So,
all beings be
Suki.
happy and free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's also
Beautiful.
used to refer to lots of females, isn't it? In Sanskrit.
Yeah, I think
well.
so.
Kind of
Yeah.
a common. Sorry,
It's a beautiful name.
Playing with wires.
Don't worry.
Fighting the cat. Wires.
By the way, guys, all of you that are tuning in, if you don't know Adam and Holly, I don't know where you've been hiding, probably under a rock somewhere. But these are guys that are doing amazing, amazing things and sharing yoga, retreats, seminars. And I had a look on their website, and I just love this one-liner. One gives hugs, happy vibes, and sings sweet melodies. The other gives specific anatomical instruction and dad jokes with a slight growl. I'll let you decide which one's which.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes.
It's beautiful. So how long have you guys been doing this for? Like, has it been quite a while that as a team you've been sharing, or separately you've been doing it for a long time?
Well, it's separately a long time. I've been doing yoga for maybe 15 years.
Wow.
Teaching for 6 years now.
Yeah.
6 years teaching.
That's phenomenal.
What are you, Holly?
I've been, well, less on both terms. Yeah, I've been practicing for maybe like 7 years, something like that, and teaching for 4. Yeah,
And
you lose track of time, don't you, after a while?
Yeah.
And I think what happens with lots of yoga couples, as it were, is they kind of conflict because they're almost competing with each other to some degree. And I guess the beauty with what we do is we do the same thing in a sense, but very differently, from a very different approach, but also have very different skills. So as that one-liner kind of exhibited, Holly is very much about the sound, the experience, knowing everyone, getting quite intimate with people. My skill is more the education and taking that on the road. So I don't know all of my students. I can't, because some weeks I might teach 2,000 people.
Wow.
But I treat myself more as an educator. So I think it kind of really complements well. And then this new thing, home with the hustlers.
Right.
I had to use the hustlers somehow.
Yeah.
I trademarked it. When we got married, I trademarked it.
That's awesome.
Just in
That's
case.
so good. Such a good idea.
And we started a podcast initially, which is something we'd wanted to do for quite a while, because
Right.
the podcast is all about how the wellness world is really lovely and nice, but sometimes you don't really get a real picture of what's happening for the people in their real lives.
Yeah.
And the work that they've had to do to get to where they are, and how committed they are to what they do. And then the podcast was that, and we both shared that passion. And then also we've created this online platform now. We're always going to do it.
Right.
Our aim is to leave London eventually, like not be running around London every day. So we were always going to try and put more content online. But this current situation gave us impetus to do that now.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
So we spent
Just get on it while you got the time.
Exactly. And we kind of anticipated this to a degree. And before the shops closed, I kind of splashed a little bit of money on like high-end recording equipment. Like just running around.
This is where me and you have a connection. I'm super nerdy with this stuff. Like I love, and my wife is always getting crazy because I've got wires coming out my ears, like hidden in all these cupboards. Like if you need a wire for any situation, I've probably got it. So
I'm with your wife. I'm like, oh, put the wires down.
Don't worry, it's needed. See, it's needed in times like this. See.
Yeah.
And actually, I think if you're going to go for it, like fully go for it.
Yeah.
So like I bought a good Fuji camera and this Ninja recorder, it's called. So it actually allows it to record for an hour at high definition.
Perfect.
Like good tripods. Today I bought LED lighting from Amazon.
Wow. Kitted
So
out.
There's no space left anywhere now. It's full of cat toys. It's just,
That's
but
amazing.
necessary.
But yeah,
And
so we haven't been doing this for long together, but it works well. And occasionally, like Holly will come with
definitely.
me and do sound journeys at the end of my workshops. And
Yeah.
what's lovely as well is increasingly Holly's been respected for what she does in her own right. So at the yoga games in Stockholm, it wasn't Adam and Holly Husler. It was Adam Husler doing that and Holly Husler
The
doing that.
good thing about what I do is I'm generally really liked because I'm the one that comes in and helps everyone to relax, and they just like that, and I just sing and play bowls, and Adam's the one that has to get people sweating, like cracking the whip, walking past, being the bad cop, so I'm generally quite liked.
And it's a growing market as well, like with mantra, with sound healing, with getting people, it's a market where people are really kind of looking for it. And I think that like I was saying to my dad a few weeks ago that, yoga 20 years ago, it wasn't as common as it was now. People were kind of looking at you a bit funny, like, what's wrong with going for a jog? Like, why don't you just do that instead? Whereas nowadays it's kind of like, oh, you're not doing yoga. Oh, how come? What's the reason? And I think it's going to be the same thing with kind of kirtan, sound vibration, with sound healing.
I think it's the new yoga, and I think it's something that people need, but they don't know they need it. It's the thing that people are searching for. But it's like yoga, it'll find you at the right time. Right. And the thing that I love so much about kirtan that I discovered, it's like you sing these words. Most of the time, people don't know what the hell they're singing. But it's not about sounding good. And, in the Western world, it's, you've got the voice, the X factor, you've got the big when you sound bad. But this is completely turning it on its head. And it's like, it's not about what you sound like. It's really your intention behind it. It's the meaning, the feeling behind it, and it's a way of connecting with others and to yourself, and that's the intention. How amazing is that? And it's similar to yoga, but just through sound.
I think the access point can be just a touch harder. And I think asana has taken off so well in the West because people were used to using their bodies for jogging and anything else.
Right. It's more accessible in that respect.
It's more tangible. People know how to work with their bodies. Yeah. But the average person really has no experience working with their voice.
And it's terrifying.
And it can be scary. It's far more intimidating, perhaps, than just rolling out a mat and doing some shapes. But I think people are warming to it and realizing what it can be. Like our kirtan teacher, Dave Stringer, he describes it as he got in when he was a child. He used to love making sounds like ba ba da da da, like making random sounds. And when he ended up in India filming it at an ashram for the first time, he was like, what the hell is this? Because he was a musician. All these people making random noises. I want to do this. This is like what I've been doing my whole life, and kind of really loved it in that sense initially.
I mean, a lot of people are kind of like into this dipping a toe, and even when I first started kind of getting involved with the kirtan scene, I remember sitting at the back of a kirtan and just wanting to mime. Like I was like, no. Real men don't sing. Like this is not a thing. And so, I remember sitting at the back of the kirtan just miming. And then by the end of it, I was dancing and I was like, having this ecstasy moment. And then I thought, you know what, I need to delve a little bit deeper. And I think a lot of people do experience, like you're saying, it's just that hesitation of using this to express this. And it's difficult when you've not done it before, when you've only done it in the bathroom mirror or in the shower, or whatever it is, when you're cooking, singing when you're doing that.
Well, we're not taught to use our voice in that way. It is always about, you're picked to be in the school play, you're picked to be whatever, the main part, because you sound like an angel. But we're never taught how to connect our voice and our heart, really.
For the fun of it.
Yeah, just for the hell of it. It's not a thing that's taught, but it's so powerful.
But like even children, I guess children are even if you're not good at sport, you have to do sport. There is a PE class. But if you're not good at music, often once you get to a certain age, that's it. You just go. You never encouraged to reconnect with it. Or at university, it's not a thing that is really actively encouraged. You either like it or you don't. End of story. It's quite polar.
But I really believe everyone's a musician, like inside. I don't think you have to be good at music or know, that this is a C note and that's an F sharp or whatever. I think everyone has an inner musician, and it's this is a time for channeling that and bringing it out in people. people, which is what I feel so blessed to, like, this is my work at the moment, and I'm on a real journey with it, as I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like helping people to really step out of their comfort zone and show people what they've got to offer, and everyone's got a voice. Everyone wants to be heard. Yeah.
And I think it's nice that how in your podcast, like right at the beginning when you're doing the OMS and you hit that bum note, and I was like, that's just so honest, and like it just connects so nicely with the name Honestly Unbalanced.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
I thought this is perfect. Like, you know, Kirtan is like that. Like, you don't have to have the angelic voice, don't have to have kind of the X Factor voice, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so beautiful.
And it's actually, if I'm honest, again, my ego did pop up when I did that. I was in the studio and I was like, right, I have to make something sound really good. And I did that bum note, and I was so close to being like, I cannot put that out there. People have to know that I can't, you know, I've got a nice voice or whatever. I was like, no, that's not what it's about.
That's what drew me in. If I'm honest, when I listened to it, that was the connect with, because it feels real. It feels like, you know, you don't have to be, you know, the Instagram worthy pose all the time, the Instagram worthy, you know, perfect singing. It's okay to be unbalanced. It's okay to be honest. And
we all are. We're all a bit of a mess, aren't we?
Yeah, all of us have so much stuff going on. Yeah, stuff going on. Just gradually breaking that down. I think yoga, in every sense, does that for us. I was chatting to someone on a podcast earlier today, actually, my friend Michael Wong, and he was asking me about like my first experiences, and I was like saying that I was six-pack walking into the yoga studio, presuming that I would win, of course. And I was like, why is that old woman holding her arms out in Warrior 2 for so long? And I'm shaking. Like, I've got a six-pack. What's... And it was wonderful. Like, it was just so humbling. And it just it continued that journey over years. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And in terms of like yoga and spirituality, I mean, for you, Adam, has there ever been kind of a moment while you've been teaching or practicing where you, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it a spiritual moment or anything that was kind of really touching for you? Has there been a moment or several moments or one that kind of really stands out for you over the years of your teaching from practicing?
That word spiritual, often I think it gets tarnished now, and I don't think it needs to be. I think it can be, to a degree, whatever we want it to be, a chance for us to connect with something more intimate than ourselves.
Beautiful.
I think people are often against the word spiritual, and I'm not against it at all. I just think people are scared of it because they give it bigger meaning or more complex meaning than they might need to. Do you know, it actually started for me when at the very first time I started yoga. I had a lot going on. At the time, I was reading a lot of Stoicism, and a lot of the other Hellenistic philosophies to help me through this stage in my life. And of course, it relates so much to Buddhism, but I didn't know anything about Buddhism all those years ago. But I knew about Stoicism because I studied Latin at school, and it was really helping me in the moments where I actually arrived to class early. And actually, I did a lot of the meditations or visualizations that are part of that school of thought, like negative visualization, etc. And then through class, I would work through that and notice the narratives that came up. And I wasn't necessarily trying to. It was just happening. I think that is some of the benefit of asana. Even if you are a teacher like me, teaching anatomically, I don't think it takes anything away from the experience. I don't think I need to talk about opening your heart to open your heart. I think it comes from just building this relationship with your body. Of course, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think it's fundamental. I think we can trust the process more than we perhaps think. But anyway, so I would then have the asana practice, but then leaving the studio, it's just the most incredible feeling, just this calmness, this equanimity that became very obvious because it was so alien to me. Then maybe after 3 or 4 years of practice, I took that perhaps a little bit for granted. And then maybe fast forward 10 years, when actually lots of bits and pieces were falling apart, death in the family, breakups, broken leg, and other bits and pieces all at one time, I realized there was this calmness inside me. I was like, oh, this is probably the yoga. This is what the yoga has done. And actually, in this time of need, I'm coming from a far more balanced space. And so I think sometimes it's not that we need anything tangible from our yoga practice, or indeed that we will find it. And I think that's why some people really struggle when they start yoga is like, what am I getting from this? Expectations. Okay, I'm a little bit bendier, a little bit stronger, but it's been a few weeks. I haven't changed a lot. And I think it's only through the long-term practice we really realize the benefits and the effect it has had on us through a long-term consistent practice. That's why I always say to people, before you do a training, actually be a practitioner for a while and observe how you integrate that practice knowingly or unknowingly into the rest of your life. So that would be, for me, how often the spiritual experience kind of manifests. One other note before I kind of pass to Holly is it's very rare for me to find a real flow state because my work is yoga as well. Even when I'm practicing, if in a studio, I'm watching people, what's happening with their body? Oh, I want to do that. Oh, that instruction was a bit, this class is busier than my class. Yeah, there's a lot, there's always lots happening when I'm doing an asana practice. But when I was doing this Kirtan training recently, I say training, I got kind of not dragged into it unwillingly, but I really loved Dave's philosophy. And I've known Dave, not intimately, but we've crossed paths many times over the years. And I introduced Holly to him, and he mentioned he was doing this flight school. And I thought, Holly, you should do that. And I'll come with you. And I came.
Let yourself in.
Indeed. And I realised for the 4 or 5 days I was there, chanting on repeat, I didn't think about anything else. For the first time in many years, I really, even when I did meditation trainings, there's lots of other narrative, but just in the process of me hitting a drum and singing, there was no thought of Instagram or work or any of that stuff. I was both in the evenings and through the day and through the practice. I was so there, which was so unexpected. Yeah, Holly?
That's so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah.
It was honest. It felt like, I love this point that you're speaking about, that kind of the expectation of people coming into a practice thinking that, this is going to be now the gates of heaven opening. My body's going to be in line with my chakras and everything's going to flow. And,
the angels will
but
sing.
then what often happens as well is then people buy the mala beads. And people buy the baggy trousers.
And people grow the man bun.
I did that. And I was like, I grew them, and I haven't got them now, but I grew a man bun, had malas, had like all these crystals around me, thinking, well, I am now yoga. I have to, like...
You know what, though? I think you go on this journey, and I think you can't bypass that. I think you have to go through the... I am this person, or you have to go through that ego thing to have it bashed down and to make you realize, that's what kind of yoga is about. There is this other dimension to me that is not here and in my thoughts and look at me, I'm all this, but there's so much more, and it's this like unfolding. You can't go from A to B and without the in between, and that's the most special part, I think. And I don't think I ever want to get to the end. And I don't think there is really an end. People want to talk about enlightenment, they want to reach it, but I think, well, it would be so boring when you get there, because then there's nothing left to go. There's nowhere left to go, nothing left to learn. And isn't that the best bit of the journey?
Sure.
Do you know Jack Cornfield?
Yeah.
His book, After the Ecstasy, The Laundry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of captured that sentiment in that there is no real... Yes, you might have a moment of enlightenment, if that ever comes. But it's a moment.
Yeah.
And then life continues, and you have to integrate what you learn in that moment.
And speaking of doing the laundry, I think, the real yoga is when you can find the same amount of joy, being at a festival with all your friends, like on ecstasy, loving life with your favorite band playing, as you can taking the socks out of the washing machine. You can realize that feeling is not out there on the stage, outside of you. It's actually, you can get all of that, in the most mundane parts of life. And I think that is enlightenment. And it's always, up and down and changing. And sometimes you knock yourself off balance, but then yoga really is that anchor to remind you that it's always there. And that is the most precious, sacred thing, I think. So beyond the physical and the asana, it offers just, a way to manage life. And to
be forever the student. To always, look for, not to expect kind of moments of ecstasy, not to expect moments of bliss, but to continue kind of plodding along, doing your day to day. And if it comes, it comes, and you see it in the small things. And I think, like you were saying earlier, Adam, about this point of, just kind of not really expecting it all the time. I think that's something that's really big kind of in the Kirtan community right now, is like when people turn up for a Kirtan, the first thing that I usually share is that, don't expect that this is 100% going to be a blissful experience, that you're going to be floating off your cushions and flying out the door. But there might be some real work there. Some people experience kind of, I mean, Holly, I for sure want to hear your thoughts on this. People that cry during a kirtan or a sound healing, and something really kind of has surfaced for them. And then they kind of come to me and say, is it normal to cry? Is it okay to be kind of sorrowful? I'm like, whatever comes out for you, and it can never be an expectation. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I always have a problem marketing sound healing as relaxing.
Right.
Obviously, I want people to experience it. I don't want to be saying, oh, you might have a breakdown, but come try it. But it can happen. And actually, I think that I have had a private student come before, and she came with expectations, and she came a couple of times, and she said, oh, well, I was, expecting that I was going to, what you said, be floating out the room. My questions were going to be answered, this and that. But I felt terrible for 2 weeks. And I said, well, that's brilliant, because sound is, it has a way of, I think of it as, I'm doing my sound healing, and it's like, it kind of brings things up to the surface. I always have this vision of sort of an ocean inside of you, and stuff has kind of been sitting at the bottom maybe, and the vibrations are kind of like, it's like sand kind of sifting it up to the surface, and then it all sort of dissipates, and then you've got all this work underneath that starts coming up, and it's like you can't escape it. It's there. You just have to kind of be brave and face it. So if you're having shifts and you're experiencing emotional breakdowns, you're crying, whatever, that's good. It's like stuff that you need to look at, and then the choice is, do you close your eyes and you ignore it for the rest of your life, and then it manifests into disease or whatever? Or do you actually, say yes, take the path and do the work and heal yourself? So it's a tool to look inside and see what needs to be looked at, if you are brave enough to go on that journey.
There's a saying that comes up to mind while you're speaking. It's about this point of anything that worth doing. It's also mentioned in the Vedic scriptures about this point, that anything that's worth doing is always poison at the beginning and pure nectar at the end. But anything that's not worth doing, not worth investing your time in, is nectar at the beginning, but poison at the end. And I can attribute that to so many things in my life where I've kind of invested time, and I felt like there's immediate bliss that comes from it. But then after some time, you start seeing or tasting the sourness of that, that thing. Like, for example, going out and having a heavy night, the moment you have that first drink, you're having a good time, but next morning you're going to be just as much in that kind of blissful state. So I fully vibe with that. I mean, I wanted to ask you guys, because you're both really well established in your fields right now, what would be, and this might be a controversial one, so it wasn't written in the script. What would be your advice to your fellow teachers during this time? Because I know a lot of teachers are kind of scrambling to get online content and feeling the pressure of kind of getting something going. But did you have any heartfelt advice for your fellow teachers? Any inspiration, anything that you're currently challenged with, that you feel that, other teachers must also be challenged with, that, you could help with in some way?
So I'd say one thing we have to consider firstly is everyone is in a very different financial position. Right. Some teachers are at the point where they literally have no money coming in. Right. And are having to move back home to parents because they can't pay the rent, etc. Right. And there's not much I can say in terms of initial coping strategy with that. But what I would advise most teachers to do is take a step back and acknowledge what they actually have. They have classes. They have studios that did want to have them teaching classes. They have a following of sorts. They have students that want to learn from them. And that is a wonderful thing that you can begin to work with. You're just appreciating you have that and have built that is a wonderful motivator. Right. And the only reason you haven't got it now is due to things that are in no way in your control. The Stoics talked about a trichotomy of control. The things that you have zero control over, like the sun rising or like the COVID virus, the
Yeah.
things that you have a little bit of control over, like whether you get the virus or not, i.e., do you wear a mask or do you just kind of run around kissing people? And then the things that you have complete control over, like whether you actually decide to roll out your mat in the morning or sit and meditate. So I think like, focusing on the things that you do have control over and then appreciating actually what you have built is wonderful. Then in terms of the next steps beyond that initial kind of appreciation, I think the next step for a lot of teachers is to work out ways in which they might make money and stay connected in ways that really resonate with them. Like if you haven't got a huge following and you just teach in studios and don't have the mailing list, but it's not your studio, it's going to be very hard to just suddenly do random online classes and make any kind of money from it. So I think maybe it's a chance, if you have the finances, to step back, revisit your practice, become a better teacher. Maybe as teachers, it's our chance to work with things we wouldn't normally access, teachers we wouldn't normally access. So many people are doing cheap courses at the moment. And I think as teachers, often we're set in our ways. If we go to class, it's the same classes with the same teachers, with our mat in the same place. So actually learning from new people, experiencing new things, using this as a chance for growth and a chance for reflection. Like, is the life you're leading really working for you? Because I know lots of teachers in London that really suffer. They work super hard. They don't make a lot of money. They're very stressed out. They're often not practicing yoga or in any way. There's a lot of that happening. And not really being present when they actually teach. So maybe actually this is a chance to think, is teaching the thing that I want to do? Is it worth the uncertainty of income? So I think it's a really good chance for reflection. And I'm a big fan of asking why. In my teaching, in my training, I think asking why is a really useful thing to do in every part of your life. Holly hates it because I'm like,
no, do you know what? I used to. But you've made me think. Actually, I should probably start asking
Adam, do you think I look nice? Why?
It's so many ask like questions that are clearly stupid. Sorry. Like, oh, I can't wait till Christmas. Why?
Me and you, I feel that. I'm super with the Start With Why. Simon Sinek opened my eyes when I read that book, Start With Why.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that any endeavor, I'm only agreeing with Adam on this one. Don't worry, Holly. I'll agree with you on everything else.
I agree as well. It's good to be curious and ask the questions.
So that's my advice for everyone out there, is just use this as an opportunity to revisit why you're doing what you do and how you are doing it, and use it as an opportunity to be appreciative of the things that you've built and also the things you currently have in your life. So I'm so appreciative now of having a nice home. I'm appreciative of having a lovely wife, having a kitten.
You made your coffee this morning?
Yeah, no, indeed.
Do, every morning.
Yeah, so it's making me really appreciate what I have and how I want to live my life.
I would also add to that as well, that if you are a teacher, this is time to step up. Like it's a blessing to be a teacher in this time when this is happening. Like if you are drawn to teach in the first place, it's obviously because you have a desire to help change people's lives. So what is your unique gift that you have to bring to the table? Because we all have something to offer. So now's your time to be brave and step up, get creative, think outside of the box. Don't shy away from it. If you still love teaching, then teach harder. And
I love that, and I think it leads on to then the question of why are you doing what you're doing? Is it because you wanted to be a teacher, or is it because you wanted the lifestyle that you thought the yoga teaching would give you?
Good point.
And there's a big difference.
Huge. Yeah,
that's true.
It's amazing. I mean, who knew? Two souls that are full of knowledge, full of wisdom, full of amazing answers. So nice to have you guys here. Vanita says, I started yoga teacher training a month ago. Now with the virus, I'm grateful to concentrate on the theory. So happy. So that fully vibes with what Adam was saying, what you added on, Holly. And someone added, Yamuna's Grace. My daughter has experienced Kirtan since in the womb. Anytime, any place. She's so at peace with it. It's so good for everyone, especially children. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I really appreciate it.
I always wonder if we're lucky enough to ever have kids,
they'll
be exposed to so much sound.
Yeah.
It could be interesting to see the effect of like the singing bowls and a light would have on a a child in womb.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll take it better than the cat, because the cat just legged it when I started playing the
Cats.
sound bowls the other day.
Oh, really?
Did not like it. No.
But the cat, no, the cat does like the harp though.
Oh, really?
The harp.
Do you have one
So
at home?
Holly,
A harp at home?
yeah,
Adam bought me
Wow.
one for Christmas.
not a full size one, but it's
That's
about
amazing.
what 4 foot, 3 foot.
Yeah, it's pretty hefty.
Yeah, like it's a decent size harp. There's a wonderful shop in London called the
Jazz. No.
No. This is near Tottenham Court Road.
Mm-hmm.
There's a street full of like guitar shops, etc.
Okay.
It's like an old music shop up some stairs, and it just sells kind of harps and lyres and lots of kind of old-fashioned kind of English
cool.
instruments. Really beautiful.
Wow. Well, we're getting onto the topic of kind of experiencing meditation. I didn't know whether either of you had prepared something to kind of share with us where we could close the eyes, go deep within.
Already.
So
Time.
I guess two options if you want. So I can do a small meditation and Holly can sing
Beauty.
as a little follow-up, or
As you like.
or we could do yeah, let's do that. How long?
Say a joint song?
No, I don't know what the other option was. I think the other option was just Holly sings.
Either option sounds good to me.
How long do we have to play with?
So Instagram cuts us off at the hour mark. So we have 29 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
So we can kind of do a meditation and then see if there's any closing questions from anyone that's watching, or if you had any closing thoughts that came to you through the meditation, then more than welcome to share those.
Let's do about a 10-minute meditation. And I will give Holly a little nudge at the end.
I'll finish with the Gayatri mantra then.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Do you need your sansula?
It's a mantra for bringing in light. So
do you need a sansula for that?
I'm going to use my koshi chimes.
Ah, the koshi chimes. Lovely. Okay, so we'll do a little 10-minute meditation. I'm not going to end the meditation per se. Holly will sing, then I'll end it afterwards.
Just give me an elbow then.
So guys at home, come to sit tall. Close your eyes or have your eyes downcast, whatever works for you. And just take a moment to rearrange yourself. Move your bum around and explore and acknowledge your asymmetry. And then despite your asymmetry, find a place where you feel balanced. And then explore your spine. What shape is your spine taking? Are you slouching? Are you rounding? Begin to sit in a little bit more of an alert way. Let your bum feel like it is slightly sticking out. Your mid-back moving forwards. Your shoulder blades melting down and together. Chin parallel to the floor. Head drawing horizontally back. And ears lengthening upwards to the sky. The front of your body open, the back of your body long. Doing just enough to sit tall, but begin to soften any areas that you're unnecessarily holding on to. Allow your belly to be soft. Let the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Drop any expression you're wearing on your face. And let those wondering eyes be neutral in their sockets. And then ask yourself, how am I? In these slightly turbulent times, say to yourself, how am I? What was your answer? What tone of voice did you answer with? How are you doing about how you are doing? How are you feeling about how you are feeling? If those feelings manifest in the body, where do they manifest? If that changes, where does it go to? Whatever you're feeling, blue, calm, agitated, alert, let these feelings exist, but let them exist in an increasingly calm body. Let them appear like ticker tape falling into the space. Let them drift away back to nowhere, just as they came from nowhere. Don't pick them up and look closely and hold them and grasp them. Let them come, let them go. Let these things come and go in the background, but in the foreground, bring some awareness to your breath. Start to hang out with the feeling of the breath, particularly at your nostrils today. The cool air flowing in, the slightly warmer air flowing out. Start to explore the very beginning. Each time you inhale, really explore where that's coming from. And stay with that. For the next few minutes, center yourself around the beginning of each inhale. And whenever your mind wanders, pause. Acknowledge that without judgment, and come back to the beginning of the next inhale. If you have to do that 2 times, do it twice. If you have to come back 50 times, come back 50 times. Let your body stay alert, your heart tender, your mind calm. Keep coming back to the start of the inhale, to the moment.
Om Bhurbhuvat Svaha Tatsadituvareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvat Svaha Tatsavituvareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvat Svaha Tatsavituvareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Begin to take some slightly longer inhales and exhales. Feel the movements of the belly, of the chest. When our bodies are calm, unstable emotions just have a place to exist, a place to be, a place to come and go from. When we're not connected to our body and it's agitated, these unstable emotions tend to bubble up to the surface. And we show them and they take over. Let us find calmness in our bodies. Through breath, through movement, through attentiveness and through awareness. I'm going to end with a little call and response from actually the Zen Buddhist tradition. So at home, you can say that line back as I say it. I'll leave space. It's in English. Life and death are of supreme importance.
Life and death are of supreme importance.
Time passes swiftly and opportunity is lost.
Time passes swiftly and opportunity is lost.
Let us awaken, awaken.
Let us awaken, awaken.
Do not squander your life.
Do not squander your life.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be healthy.
May all beings be healthy.
May all beings be safe and free from danger.
May all beings be safe and free from danger.
May all beings be free from every form of suffering.
May all beings be free from every form of suffering.
Whatever you feel, when you open your eyes, don't drop it. Remember, you can find this at any point in your life you want. So for the next 40, 50 minutes at least, be attentive, be aware, be present. Thank you for sharing your practice.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm floating. That was so nice. Thank you so much. If you guys appreciated that, then do press the love button, do share some comments of encouragement.
Our little kitten appreciated it too.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, she's fast asleep.
Oh, where is she? There.
That's so cute.
She seems to, I never thought I really had a yoga voice, but it seems to work on kittens.
There you go. Sign of things, more things to come, hopefully.
Indeed.
Oh,
I just wanted to see if you guys had any kind of ending thoughts, any tips for people during this time, anything that you felt is really working for you, perhaps, in your lives, anything that you want to share that inspires you currently and really hope to be able to share that with others more.
For me, I'd say, even though it's maybe a really tough time for a lot of people and everyone's obviously in a really different situation, I'd say just as much as you can, lean into it and trust that there's better things on the way, and you know, use this time to slow down, to pause, to reflect on what is really important to you, come back to your values, your moral compass, and maybe start forming some new habits that are going to help to serve you in your life going forward when all this is over.
For me, I think it is use this as an opportunity to pay attention. I think Mary Oliver, the poet, wrote, I'm going to murder it slightly, but something along the lines of, like, the only thing worth doing is paying attention. And I really believe in that. And I think living in cities, we don't do that. We go from place to place. Our mind's narrative is normally fantasizing or ruminating. It's very rare that we're in the moment. And in many ways, we're forced, at least for some of the day, to be in the moment. And I think we should use that opportunity to remember what it's like to look at the grass, to look at what's happening outside, to look people in the eye, to smile, to ring our loved ones, and just to pay attention to the things around us. Because time is finite.
Wow. There you go, guys. Fantastic tips from both Holly and Adam. I wanted to see what you guys, where would people be able to connect with you going forward? What is it that people can somehow latch onto at this time to see you guys more, to hear you guys more? What else are you doing at the moment?
So collectively, you can find out both of us at thehustlers.com or Instagram, The Hustlers. Holly's Instagram is
I am Holly Husler. I'm doing online sound healings. I'm doing one a Monday night at 9 p.m. You can find details on my Instagram. I'll be bringing out music, mantras, and that kind of stuff over the next few months, more professionally. So yeah, if you want to stay posted, just give me a follow, and I put everything on there. So
indeed,
that's me.
And I'm all over. I've got online bits and pieces everywhere. But if you head to my website, everything I offer, including, so what we're really pushing now is this new platform we've created. And I've taught for lots of online platforms, some of them filmed incredibly, but I really want to do something on my terms and something that I can just constantly produce new content. So what tends to happen a lot is I'll produce content for a company in a batch and it will get released a year later.
Wow.
Whereas I can actually now share my weekly classes. Holly can share the professional and the at-home recording she does. I can share regular meditations, and I can actually create a resource that's useful day to day rather than kind of an entertainment package, as it were.
Beautiful.
So that's available.
You guys are super busy. I don't know how you guys squeeze it all in the day.
So we got time now.
It's phenomenal. No, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Thank you both so much for giving as much as you do, for sharing so much light with the world, so much love, and doing it with purpose and passion. And thanks again for being on the conversation. I know numbers are low compared to usual, but it's because there's so much content going on online at the moment.
I know.
But you know, I heard this one thing by the Dalai Lama that really struck me. He said that if you want to understand the potency of doing something that seems like small impact, if you want to really understand that, then understand the impact that a mosquito makes, one single mosquito makes in a bedroom overnight. And so it really made me think that, you know, the ripple effects are endless, and, you know, this will be available on YouTube. I'll stick it up there, and on IGTV eventually as well. So people can watch this back, and I'm sure people will really love it.
And do you know what? That comes to me, one of the reasons I actually started teaching full time.
Really?
Was that I trained as a lawyer, ended up doing non-profit charity work as a career.
Beautiful.
That was my career, and I assumed that would be my career forever.
Wow.
I became a little bit disenchanted with the way that sector worked, and started, at that point I was teaching part-time, and started to think, well, if I can actually make the people come into my class, the lawyers, the CEOs, if I can make them more mindful, I don't want them to be yoga teachers, but if I can make them be people that live a yoga practice knowingly or not, that would have a far greater ripple effect in the world than me working with 10 young people over the course of a year, but actually working with people that have some influence and have some control over the lives of others. But yeah, that's kind of why I ended up teaching as a full-time career.
Beautiful. And I mean, just because you've kind of come with that start with why, you started with that why, it's clear, you know, people only make time for something that they're passionate about. Who else would sit at 8 o'clock at night on a conversation, you know, having to speak about yoga, spirituality, unless you're passionate about it? Unless, you know, if you had something to say. If you don't have anything to say, then that's a different thing. But, you know, here you are, both of you sharing with so much love and passion, and I really appreciate it more than you know. And hopefully when this is all over, we can meet up, have a drink together, coffee, tea.
Yeah, I've been desperate to come to one of your kirtans for a while.
We'll be there. We'll come.
But it's just schedule. Like every weekend.
You guys are VIPs. Let me know when, and just let me know where, and I'll make sure you guys get a nice cushion at the front.
I might bring my car towels.
Do it. And Holly, bring a microphone, or in fact, I'll plug one in for you.
Oh, bless.
Fantastic.
Anyway, thanks, guys.
I'll drop you an email in a second. Cheers. Take care.
Thank you.
All the best, guys.
Bye.
Bye.